mainstream is not particularly healthy, and I think it does us all a great disservice in many aspects of life, which I'm going to touch on a few that I deal with professionally and in a volunteer basis tonight. I wear many hats. I'm a White Ribbon ambassador for the White Ribbon organisation, looking at challenging domestic and family violence in New Zealand. I'm a board member at Rape Prevention Education. We go into schools and talk about consent and what is sexual violence and how do we avoid it and how do we change our culture around it. I get paid by the Ministry of Health to work in community drug and alcohol harm reduction for an organisation called KAD. We look at changing drug and alcohol culture at a population level. So I'm not a drug counsellor per se, despite the fact that many people will Facebook me and go, "Yo dog, my friend's on the meth, what do I do?" And I'm like, well, that was good to wake up to. But we look at how do we change our environment? How do we change what is culturally normal around these things? How do we change the mainstream? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. You know, if you look at statistics around alcohol, it ranges. We just had a new national health survey, and it's slightly decreased the number of people who consider themselves drinkers, but about 80 to 85% of New Zealanders drink a lot, and 15 to 12% of us are teetotalers. Straight edge is way cooler though, right, than teetotaler. Alcohol is the centre for pretty much all our social interaction. It's at first birthdays, 21st birthdays. What do? 21 shots? That could kill a young lady. Real talk. You do a yard glass, you know. At a funeral, we drink so much. And it is problematic. And it's depressing to say so, and it's not popular to say so. But alcohol leads to very real, mic control, not the best, I'd never be a rapper. It leads to 18 to 35% of hospitalizations during the week, and that bounces up to like 60 or 70% of hospitalizations at accident and emergency in the weekends. It's a lot of money. And more importantly than money for the government, it's a lot of people who are hurting themselves, you know? And unfortunately, we normalize this in social media. This is my friend Carl. I chose someone who lived in Ireland because I'm like, there's no way he's going to see this. He's a good friend of mine. And he's just having a Guinness. It was St. Patrick's Day and he's Irish. What the hell else is he going to do? I mean, really. But we have got what the University of Bath calls an intoxigenic social media and media environment. And that continues to normalize what we must say is an unhealthy cultural norm. How many times have you seen your friends on Instagram, injury, or I bruised my leg, or with a only live once sort of slogan? I'm not sure, but for me, I see it quite regularly, and I'm pretty sure I don't hang out with like an alcoholic bubble of people. I hang out with a pretty broad section of society, and through social media channels, I'm exposed to an even broader section of society. And then you have, brand placement, celebrity brand placement. Sorry, Jay. Jay's a very nice man. I'm not criticizing Jay personally. Every time I've met him, he's very lovely. But when you get tickets to the Moe Tennis or the Heineken Open or whatever it may be, that's impacting all the people around you who are like, yeah, alcohol with everything. That's what we do when we have a good time. So, Moa Beer, this is someone's weekend. This is a Facebook ad. Okay, there's no age restriction on this advertising. So, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 50-year-olds, they all get exposed to continued things as they are. So it's by no means a judgment. I'm just saying that we continue to normalize and mainstream alcohol consumption at excessive levels through our social medias. And we've built a culture where that's normalized. 1 to 3 to 1 in 4 women are victims of sexual violence, 1 to 8 to 1 in 10 men. Which is massive. That's a massive number of people who are going through really traumatic experiences at a really young age. Now I'm for whatever reason, because I go on about this sort of stuff on my social media channels, the Ministry of Social Development, they flew me to Wellington and they're like, we want you to be the poster boy for stopping sexual violence and encouraging young men to get involved when they see situations where sexual violence should be occurring. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that. You're paying me to do this? Wow, getting paid for a good cause. I can live with that, but What I didn't expect is someone who's contractually obliged now to talk about sexual violence on social media channels is the number of women who I know personally or have never met at all who will get in touch and be like, this happened to me. Really traumatic stuff. Stuff that I sometimes just am like, oh, you know? It's really, 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 really upsetting to hear that this is happening. It's not just a figure I read in a book or at a Ministry of Social Development lecture, when this is what we see on mainstream media channels. Young kids are learning about sex and relationships through pornography. Now, pornography, you can have your opinions on it, but working in the fields that I do work in, we see it to be problematic because it further reinforces ideas around sex and violence and gender roles. Robert Jensen says this. Do you want a minute to read this, or should I just read it out? Read it out. What does it say about our culture that cruelty is so easy to market? What is the difference between glorifying violence in war and glorifying the violence of sexual domination? I think that the reason porn is so difficult for so many people to discuss is not that it is about sex. The reason it is difficult is that porn exposes something very uncomfortable about us. We accept, that's all of us, we accept a culture flooded with images of women who are sexual commodities. Increasingly, women in pornography are not people having sex, but bodies upon which sexual activities of increasing cruelty are played out. And many men, maybe a majority, like it. Cruelty is exciting. You're like, oh wow, I never thought about doing that with someone or seeing that done with someone. And so increasingly, the pornography that our young kids and young women are growing up surrounded by isn't about a mutually pleasurable, discussed conversation about, do you like this? Can I do this? Is this all right? Do you feel good when I do that? It's many men doing one or two vicious things to a woman. And we see that recreated in culture. Obviously, Roastbusters is the most standout example. But as someone who works in sexual violence, that happens pretty regularly. Not necessarily recorded and put on the internet, but it gets recorded and put on the internet because Redfoo is telling you to do it. He's like, yeah, boys, shut the fuck up. Don't say no. Get in the party. It's fun to do this. So that's what we're teaching our young people is normal behavior. So this is happening in Northland, and I thought about speciesism. And just quickly, I think the way we treat animals and the way that our industrialization of the way we treat animals is really shitty for the environment and for the animals. New Zealand's biggest contribution to global warming. Now, I'm pretty into this long summer. Are you with me? People are like, dog, you're looking tanned. I'm like, global warming, yes. But New Zealand's biggest contribution to global warming is from our dairy and cattle agriculture. 60% of our rivers in New Zealand are not considered safe for swimming, which is a shame because we market ourselves as a tourist destination which is clean and green. Now, a huge amount of that contamination comes from the dairy and cattle industry, runoff, you know? We're like, who cares? It's good for the economy, the GDP is going. But what good is GDP if our entire natural environment is ruined and it's uninhabitable? When I was a kid, I wanted to change my world, and then I was like, because it wasn't very nice. And then I decided I want to change the world. And I was like, well, that's actually not going to happen. It struck me when I was about 24. I was like, I'm not actually going to change the world, damn it. But I was crushed. I was really crushed. I was like, thought I was going to be Gandhi. I'm not. Not going to be Gandhi, damn it. But, and I'm not even saying I'm wise. This is Rumi's quote, not Hardcore's quote. But I am trying to change myself. Because I believe that if we change ourselves, we give other people permission to change themselves. And that's a really hard thing to do. Talking about alcohol, we have Fedfast and Dry July. We need nationally sponsored fundraisers to give people the social permission to not drink alcohol. Why is that? Why is it so much peer pressure to drink? You know, try going out to dinner. I'm like the life of the party. Oh no, I don't drink. Oh no, I'm refined sugar free. Oh, I'm a vegetarian. Oh, those carbs are too white. I'm surprised I get invited anywhere. But if enough people make little changes, we can make a difference collectively. I truly believe that. I truly believe if you look at all the massive movements in history, they start with one little thing. Look at Rosa Parks. Do you know who Rosa Parks is? Rosa Parks, civil rights movement. Look at Tommy Smith, tattooed on my arm. Stood up in 1968 Mexico Olympics and was like, you know what's bad? Racism in the United States. In front of the whole world. Those people were like, amazing, but that's one person's action. You look at Macklemore's song, Same Love. We just had marriage equality passed in New Zealand. Tara and Sasha went to their wedding. It was wonderful. Thank you very much for the invitation. I enjoyed the canapes. But little things can create big differences. And I would gently suggest, not tell, you to perhaps consider and look at the world a little bit more critically. I think I don't think any of this stuff is necessarily that hard to do. I'm not saying you have to be a vegetarian or vegan. Just have a meat-free Monday. Eat a little bit less. You're going to make a little bit more of a difference on the planet. Perhaps don't drink so much. Say when, because it's going to be better for you. You're not necessarily going to be as much risk of cancer. Okay? Be mindful, particularly perhaps men in the audience, of what are you watching when it comes to sex and sexuality, and how is it affecting you, and how is it affecting your relationships, and what you expect of sex and a sexual connection, and how you look at women. And would you want someone looking at a woman you cared about in that way? Because I wouldn't. So all I'm saying is, let's all of us work a little bit more to change ourselves, and maybe we can make the world a bit of a better place. Thanks.